What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Wiz back again with my little man with another video. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the best cameras and lenses that you can buy to produce good quality fitness content. Now, the whole purpose of me making this video is because I really wish a video like this existed when I was starting my channel, because I didn't know anything about cameras. I knew that I wanted to produce high quality video and, you know, just have good Instagram posts. You know, when you see something that just looks crisp online, you're like, what camera did they use? What lens did they use? How did they do it? I was really trying to search for information on that, but I really didn't feel like I was getting that information that I needed to really understand how to produce good quality fitness videos. So that's why I'm making this video today. So just sit back. I'm gonna go through the camera and lenses that I use and some camera and lens suggestions for fitness content. So as far as cameras are concerned, there's a whole bunch of cameras out here. You got point and shoots, you got camcorders, you have DSLRs, you have mirrorless cameras. Hell, you even got whatever phone you're using, your iPhone, your Android. So you can use any type of camera to record content, but we're going to be focusing on quality fitness content. And by fitness content, I mean, of course, recording yourself working out in the gym, or recording somebody else working out, or recording talking head videos, just like what you see right now in this video, or a video where, you know, you're holding the camera up and you're vlogging. So right off the back, in order to really like keep pace with what everybody else is doing, because let's be honest, it's a real competitive field as far as, you know, fitness YouTube channels or just putting out fitness content that you really want to get noticed. In order to really stand out, you're going to at least need a mid-range camera. One thing I learned, especially from buying the camera that I have, you kind of start off with a small mindset of what you probably want to do with video, but once you get into it and you buy a camera, it's always good to buy a camera that you can kind of grow with. You're going to want to use a camera which you can use in different situations, and that's where a camera with interchangeable lenses come in, because you can like use different lenses for different scenarios, and you're going to get overall just better quality and better bang for your buck over the long run. So me doing my research, knowing what I wanted to do with my fitness content, I came to the point that I knew I needed a mid-range camera because I really couldn't afford an expensive one. And in doing my research, I came across this camera right here, which is the Canon T7i. It actually came with the body along with a kit and a kit lens. I got it off Amazon. I'll link it in the description below, and it came with like a tripod, memory card, so I had the whole shebang just right off the back. I think I paid like $8.99 for it at the time. So the thing that drew me to this camera was, of course, I watched a whole bunch of reviews, and they were really praising this camera along with the 80D at the time and the Canon SL2 for what they have inside, which is called dual pixel autofocus. Now, you need a good camera with some good autofocusing, especially if you plan on like recording some nice gym edits or just workouts in the gym, because you don't want your camera like hunting. Because like right now I have my camera set up on a tripod. Obviously when I record in the gym, my camera is set up on a tripod, and there's a lot of moving things going on in the gym. I don't want my focus, you know, to pick up on something else, or my camera footage to not be in focus when it needs to focus on me. Like say if I'm doing a set or working out or whatever I'm recording, you need a camera with a good autofocusing system. So the dual pixel autofocus and Canon cameras is A1. The thing that made me decide to go with the T7i in particular is because I kind of, you know, at the time I was like an infant in photography, but I always liked the idea of photography, and this camera was real good at both video and photography. So I knew, like I said earlier in the video, that eventually I was going to grow more into the photography side of it. So I knew that it was a good idea to invest in this camera. Now, as far as the Canon T7i, it is not a 4K camera. It only records in 1080p, which is still good enough. You can still produce some top-notch footage in 1080p. And to be honest, if you're into like video editing and like loading up files on your computer, 4K files can be really hard sometimes for a computer to like run the editing software in it, and your computer might go slow depending on how much RAM you got. I know I'm rambling off a whole bunch of terms you may not know, but yeah, 4K files are pretty big compared to 1080p files, and if you don't have a laptop or a desktop that can handle it, I can't talk today. Editing your videos can be really, really challenging. So I felt 1080 was good enough for me. If you feel like 1080 is good enough for you, I highly recommend you check out this camera right here, the Canon T7i, the Canon 80D, which is, you know, has the exact same sensor as this camera, but it's better for photography. You can also check out the Canon SL2 or the Canon SL3, which also has the same sensor, at least the SL2 does, as this camera. Now the Canon SL2 is a little bit smaller, so it's really, you know, nice and compact, good for you to carry in and out of the gym. It's very portable. So I would recommend those three off the back, and like I said, the links to all those are going to be below in the description. Also too, if you are interested in 4K, there are really good budget options for 4K video as well. You have the Canon M50, which also has interchangeable lenses, and like I said, offers you 4K video, so that's better quality videos, and it's a newer camera as well as all the ones I already explained. So if you want to, you know, get you a Canon, and a good thing about Canon I didn't mention, the lenses are very cheap. You have more lens options available to you, so that's another reason why I chose to go with Canon. Now the Canon M50 is a mirrorless camera, and if you want to dive into like mirrorless cameras and 4K, I would really recommend you go with like a Sony, and that's kind of what I wish I would have did a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I do love my Canon camera, but Sony, it's just something about Sony quality to me. I feel like Sony has better quality. It's a little bit more expensive. The lenses are a little bit more expensive, but like I said, man, Sony is definitely worth the penny. Now, Sony cameras that I have knowledge of and that I'm familiar with that are really good for producing high quality fitness content will be like the Sony A6400, the A6500, or the A6600. Now, one camera that I highly recommend if you have the money that will cover you in all aspects, photography, video, high quality video, 4K, everything, will be the Sony A7 III. I really wish I would have bought that camera. Now that camera is like $1,700 right now, and that's just the body without the lens and anything, but that camera is gonna cover all of your bases for any type of content that you wanna produce, and it's gonna be very high quality. Like I said, Sony is a little bit on the pricier side. If you know that you're not really gonna be so much so into like photography and you really don't have the budget to spend on higher end lenses, I would go with Canon, especially just starting out. Canon cameras are easier to use, they're more user friendly, so just starting out, I would definitely get either, like I said, the T7i, the 80D, the 90D, the Canon M6, the M6 Mark II, the SL2, or the Canon SL3. So let's get on to the lenses. So like I said, my camera came with this 18 to 55 millimeter lens. Now the 18 to 55 is really good for like just overall everything, to be honest. You can use it at 18 millimeters, you know, to vlog, or, you know, if you're recording in the gym, you know, you can zoom in if you have somebody else recording you or whatever. One thing I did forget to mention as far as the cameras, which kind of puts Sony ahead of Canon, is that most Sony cameras have in-body image stabilization. They call it IBIS. My camera, it doesn't have IBIS in it, and what IBIS does is that it stabilizes your footage. Now most lenses have it, but when you have a camera that has IBIS in it, no matter what lens you put on it, the footage is going to be stable, like handheld footage. Going like this, you know, if you're recording somebody working out, it's going to be stable. Most Sony cameras, the newer mirrorless cameras, the ones I named, they do have IBIS in it, so that's why they cost a little bit more and they produce better quality. However, like I said, most Canon lenses do have image stabilization, so just look out for that if you know you're going to be trying to record moving subjects and panning very quickly, at least in handheld. Now, one way around that is you can record on a tripod like I'm doing right now, or you can get like some type of gimbal where it's gonna stabilize your footage for you. So anyway, back to the lenses now. The one thing that I didn't understand at first of really what produced or made videos so high quality, I really didn't understand the importance of lighting and aperture. Like even right now, right, I have no lights on in here except that lights you see on in the kitchen in the back. I have my blinds open and pretty much the light from the windows hitting me. I didn't really even know how to do something as basic as this. Normally I would have had the camera facing the window and would have been wondering why my shot was so dark. So lighting is key when you're recording, of course, but in order to get like the best quality video when you're not in control of, say, the lighting situation, like you can't just open up blinds if you're in the gym and maybe dark or something, you're really gonna need a lens with a very good aperture. Now this kit lens that came with my camera, it has an aperture, I believe, of about 3.5 to 5.6, which isn't really that good. And like I said, when I first got my camera, I was just like, okay, I got a camera, I got a DSLR, I got a Canon, blah, blah, blah. I'm recording, and it's just like, why is my footage, it looks good, but it's not, like what I see online, it's not that. And I had to come to learn about aperture now. They make lenses that have like a 2.8 aperture throughout. Like I said, this is 3.5 to like 5.6, and it starts at 3.5 at 18 millimeters. So the more you zoom in, the even like worse it gets, essentially. But when you get a lens that has like a 2.8 aperture throughout, if this lens had 2.8 aperture, it'd be 2.8 here. If I zoom in, it'd still be 2.8. So just make sure you keep that in mind. The better the aperture on the lens, the better your camera is gonna perform in low light, and the better your footage is going to look. So one lens you're definitely gonna need, no matter what camera it is that you have, you're gonna need a wide angle lens. Now, this wide angle lens from Canon right here, it's a 10 to 18 millimeters, has image stabilization in it, and this is pretty much what I use to vlog. 10 to 18 millimeters, the zoom range is barely small. I'm moving it, you can't even see it moving because it opens, you know, it widens up. Well, it starts out wide and it comes in like to where this one starts. So this starts at 18, this one starts at 10, and goes to 18. So the reason why I got this lens, it was for two reasons actually. Well, I got it for one reason, but I realized that it worked good for another reason. I got it, of course, to vlog. When you vlog with these, I throw some clips up, you know, you'll see like, you'll be in the middle and you'll see more of your background. So when you're talking and you're walking, you know, you have that good wide angle, that good wide look, which is really good for vlogging. Another thing that it's good for is, say when you're at the gym, right? When I had this lens originally, only this lens, you know, like I said, 18 millimeters isn't that bad, but when you're recording yourself, you're not really trying to be in people's way. You're just trying to get your set, get whatever footage you need. And I realized that sometimes I'll look and be like, damn, I didn't get the shot, or damn, I was a little bit out of the frame, and I would have to end up going with what I got or try to do it again, and then next thing you know, I'm throwing off my workout, right? So one thing I noticed with the 10 to 18 was that it's so wide that you capture everything. Sometimes you capture too much. Sometimes you have to either, like if you got your camera on a tripod, move the tripod up, or zoom in to 18, and so you won't be capturing too much of the scene and what's going on. And that's a really good thing to have when you're recording yourself. Now, the best quality lens that I have for my camera is actually the cheapest lens that I have, and it is the Canon 50 millimeter. Now, this is a fixed focal length, meaning that it doesn't zoom in. It's just at 50 millimeters, and that's it. Now, the lens that I'm recording on right now is a 24 millimeter, where the lens, it doesn't zoom in. It's just fixed at 24 millimeters at all times, but it has a 2.8 aperture. That's why the footage looks so good, right? This one actually has a 1.8 aperture, so the footage looks even better on this. Now, I'm not gonna get too deep into like camera stuff because I know this isn't a camera channel, but one thing you have to know with your camera, now my camera is a crop sensor camera, so you always have to times whatever focal length lens that you're using times the appropriate number. With this Canon camera, whatever focal length you're recording at, you have to times it times 1.6. So this 24 millimeter is really like a 40, somewhere along that line. And this 50 millimeter, when I put it on my camera, it's actually more like an 80 millimeter lens, which is really too close. If I put this one on, you'll see how close it is. Now, just to give you an idea, I just put the 50 millimeter lens on there, and as you can see, you know, it's nice. I'm very close now because Now as you can see, it's nice, but my face is closer now because you have to times that crop. I just went from pretty much 40 millimeters to 80 millimeters. And this is the lens that I had on there at first, by the way, this little itty bitty 24 millimeter, which is better to record in this type of scenario. Now there are scenarios in which you can use this 50 millimeter, like this talking head thing don't look too bad, but it's really too close for my taste. Another thing about these lenses with the good aperture is that you see how my background is blown out. So if you want to record a video where, like, you know, somebody's lifting and you just want that good, smooth, buttery background, you're gonna need a lens with like a 2.8 aperture or 1.8, 1.4, even if you get 1.2, that's gonna be butter. Now the only downside to this 50 millimeter I have on my camera and also this 24 millimeter is that although they have very good aperture and produce very good quality footage, they are not image stabilized. So it works well when you have it, say, on a tripod or you're very still when you're recording. But again, if you're recording like a workout edit or you're trying to move around the camera, the lens is going to produce what's called motion blur, which your footage is really not going to be as smooth. And that's why it's really good when you have a camera that has in-body stabilization or you're using a lens that has image stabilization in it. Now, just to give you an example of what I mean by the motion blur, if you see, you know, see that shaking there? If I would have had a camera that had in-body image stabilization, or I was using a lens that had image stabilization in it, it would just be a much more smoother look to when I'm turning and doing any type of panning. And that's very important when you're recording like a workout edit. Not really so much so on a tripod. Like I said, if you're using a tripod like how I'm doing, it's good. It's gonna be clear, it's gonna be crisp. But if you have somebody else filming you, or if you're filming somebody else, or if you're moving around, just keep in mind that you're gonna get a little bit of motion blur when you don't have a lens with image stabilization and your camera doesn't have in-body image stabilization in it. Now, as far as my vlogging lens and my 50 millimeter is concerned, I did buy those as a bundle right here off of Amazon. As you can see, that's my 10 to 18 right there. My 50 millimeter, I believe this was about like $379 or so, something like that. This lens by itself, the vlogging lens, is $279 by itself, so it was a real good deal. I picked this up. I've had this for about 1.5 years now, so I'll make sure that I link this below in the description as well. And whatever camera you do choose to buy, don't be afraid to go and get third-party lenses. Now, I've had Sigma lenses in the past for my camera, and they produce just as good quality as the Canon lenses as long as the specs are on point for what you're trying to do. Now, one lens that I would recommend that you buy to replace your kit lens if you do have a Canon camera will be the Sigma 17 to 50, which is pretty much just about the same focal length as the 18 to 55 you get when you purchase, you know, any camera as far as the kit lens is concerned. And it has that 2.8 aperture that I spoke about that really gives you that crisp footage, and it also has in-body image stabilization. Now, I know they make that lens for Nikon as well. They may make it for Sony, but I'm not sure. But if you do have any type of Sony camera, don't be afraid to buy a Tamron lens, because like I said, those third-party lenses, they're just as good as long as the specs are good. So that's pretty much where I'm gonna end this video. Just to go over a couple things again that I mentioned in the video, make sure you buy a camera you can grow with. Now, there's a ton of other cameras, older cameras that I could have mentioned in this video, and I could have went to other brands, but the reason why I stayed on Canon and Sony is because those are the camera systems that I'm familiar with. But you don't want to buy a camera that's too old, because you don't want to outgrow the features. You want to make sure that you stay on par with kind of what everybody else has. And I know that sucks to say, but you got to think about it. If you're in it to promote yourself and promote a brand, and you want people to really look at what you're producing, you're going to have to at least be, like I said, in that mid-range as far as quality is concerned. Now, when you buy a camera, I would recommend that you buy either a DSLR or a mirrorless camera that has interchangeable lenses, so you can get the right type of lens for each situation, and that you'll be covered in that aspect. Now, if you're more so a beginner and your budget is a little tight, I would definitely recommend that you invest into the Canon system, because the quality is good. It's definitely good for the price. And just keep in mind that whenever you buy a lens, you're going to want to make sure that it has image stabilization, because most Canon cameras do not have in-body image stabilization. And if you know you're going to be recording somebody in the gym, or you're going to want somebody to record you working out and just moving around in general, you're going to want a good lens with image stabilization. Now, if you have a little bit more money to spend, I would probably, as a beginner, invest into the Sony system. Get you one of those smaller Sony mirrorless cameras, like I said, the a6400, a6500, a6600, something like that. And I would really learn and grow with that. Now, those cameras are a little bit harder to use. However, they produce better quality results in my opinion. They're more portable due to the size, because they're very small cameras, and you just get that 4K video and very good quality. As far as the lenses are concerned, any kit lens that you buy, like the lens that comes with the camera, it's going to be on a little bit of average side. It's going to be really versatile because it should have a good zoom range, something like an 18 to 55, especially on a crop sensor camera. If it's a full frame camera, it's going to be like a 24 to 70. So that's going to be very versatile, but you're going to want to upgrade your lens. Remember, you're going to want a lens with a very good aperture if you want that creamy, crisp footage, as well as making sure that your lens has image stabilization. When it comes to vlogging, the lens with a very wide focal length is going to be what you need. Something like a 10 to 18, or if you have a full frame camera, a 16 to 35, something that when you're holding it up, we can see, you know, your whole upper body to include a little bit above your head. You don't want it so zoomed in on your face like how I had the 50 on, because, you know, if somebody wants to watch your video, they don't want to just see only your head. It doesn't look good. So make sure you invest into a lens that has a wide focal length, like I said, the 10 to 18, if you are vlogging. And for your workout videos, for your in-gym footage, if you really want the best quality that you can have, make sure that you have a lens with a higher aperture, something around a 2.8 is very good, to a 1.8, all the way down to a 1.2. An f4 aperture isn't that bad. But just keep in mind that if it's a darker situation, you won't get the best type of footage that you would get from, say, a 2.8. And remember, every camera that I mentioned in this video, every lens that I mentioned in this video is going to be linked down in the description below to Amazon. So go ahead and check them out if you want to make a purchase there. So if you did enjoy this video and found any type of value in it, if you can do me a favor for a second and just go ahead and click that like button, I would really, really appreciate it. My little man would really, really appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I post fitness vlogs, workout tips, and tutorials, everything fitness and nutrition. So if you're new, join the crew. And until my next video, I'm gonna catch you guys later on. Peace out.